Hey, we back here, man, at the All-22. It is Super Bowl week. All right. So we're getting ready to dive into it. Big time Super Bowl 60, Super Bowl 60. Yeah, 60, 6-0.
Crazy.
Preview. Both sides of the ball, coaching special teams. This is becoming a more intriguing matchup than I thought it was when it was set. I mean, I think there was an element of not a whole lot of intrigue potentially for the Super Bowl once we even got to the championship games. Like it wasn't a sexy championship weekend.
Yeah.
And to your average person, this is not a sexy Super Bowl matchup. Although I started looking at things a little bit closer and a little bit more, I'm like, okay, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this a little bit more. So, big time Super Bowl preview. We'll talk a little bit about. We're gonna go through each sort of NFL head coach hire a little bit more in depth than we did in passing. So today we'll talk about John Harbaugh and the Giants. We have a lot of feelings there. And then our way too early college football top 10 for 2026. So that's what we got on tap for all 22 today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your homies. Don't be a hater. I'm
Don't
big
be a
fan.
hater.
What's going on today, Kelly?
Hey, man. If you do not follow, subscribe, all that jazz. What my guy Bomani say? Fine to think you're a hater. That's it. Because you see it, you view it. You know, if you view it, even if you don't like it, just like it anyway.
Just like it
Press like.
anyway.
Press like, because what is it going to do?
Hey, what does it do? It don't hurt you.
Going to do?
You
It's
know,
not going to just do it anyway.
help a brother. That's Black history.
We were talking a little bit before, like, you know, if it wasn't our show, like, we would watch this show.
I really would. I mean, I don't think people know the extent to which we are both objectively like, we will tell you something is trash, including our own stuff. We've actually told one another this about something that we've both done before in life. Like, if it was trash, yeah, we get up out of here. We go find something else to do. Like, this is solid, man.
You got a 30, 45-minute drive to work.
What else are you doing? Right? Instead of cursing out the person next to you. Right. All right, while you watch a homegirl put makeup on and the other dude eating the spicy bacon, egg, and cheese about to crash into you. You might as well listen to some football.
Bro, speaking of, listen, you know how I am about McDonald's. Double quarter me every single time.
Double quarter.
So listen, I really don't eat it a lot, but I love that double quarter. So running late this morning, so I'm like, man, I gotta get something. So I can get some breakfast. They have on the menu a hot honey chicken biscuit. That's not the worst. You know what? I can give them a pass for that. They have a hot honey sausage biscuit. That's where I draw the line. You lost me. You lost me. That's in there with the McRib, you know, the fish fillet. It's just, no.
You ain't never had the fish fillet, man?
Well, I'm not a fish guy, so
yeah,
you know that you can take that how you will, but
oh,
bro, hot honey sausage biscuit is nuts.
What even is that except a nasty sausage biscuit with some hot honey on it?
That's it.
Ugh.
That's it. I think it's a sausage, egg, and cheese actually.
Ugh.
I kind of glanced by it. It's newer. I might try that chicken biscuit. I don't know. But
the hot honey chicken biscuit be hidden. I mean, I haven't had it from McDonald's, but I've had hot honey chicken biscuit.
I don't think you can go wrong with that.
It was like that.
So
it's like that.
But yeah, that was a side note. That was crazy because I saw that this morning.
I mean, I do be bodying the McGriddle though. I ain't had a McGriddle in a few months. You know, it might be time for that tomorrow morning after my cardio workout. What'd you say? Oh yeah. 2009 prices back. We love it.
Yep.
We love it. McDonald's set us up for a sponsor, all right?
Hey,
you got plenty of money.
You never steer me. There's some haters out there.
We're gonna be like them folks, you know, everybody always be, you know, when they eat stuff, you know, and the girls be putting their fingers in the joint and all this other stuff. And yeah, holla at us McDonald's. I don't know why. And then everybody just be throwing food down so hard when they make it on social media. So I'm like, why y'all be throwing food? I know the messes in y'all kitchens be crazy and you don't be cleaning like that.
All for the content?
All for the gram. All for the gram. All right. Anyway, Super Bowl 60. Seattle is a 4.5 point favorite.
Well, it hasn't changed.
Last I checked.
I
which was
think it
like
opened at
15
4.
minutes. Still 4.5. Over under 45.5.
I don't know if that's changed, but I know for a fact it opened at 4.5. You
Yeah.
it changes a little bit, favoring one of the teams, but
I'm a little surprised that I'm a little surprised is, I don't want to say only 4.5. Look, I guess we can start the conversation because I was a little bit sort of like, not looking forward to this game. We talked about it a little bit last week.
yeah,
And I'm like, all right, this line should be, 8.5, 9, so on and so forth. Like it was giving me, maybe I think it was Super Bowl 39 vibes, Rams Patriots.
yeah,
Coming out of the 2001 season where, Patriots had a vaunted defense, a not very good or electric offense, and a quarterback that was a little more mediocre than we like to remember. But anyway, we talked about that last week. And a Rams offense that was just sort of, a greatest show on turf. Now, Seattle doesn't give me greatest show on turf, but I think the narrative that has developed since the title game weekend is, okay, Seattle is so much better, and this is going to be a dominant performance. And as I've, sort of looked a little bit closer at the matchups, I think we are underselling the New England Patriots um, in this game on Sunday. Now, a lot to stretch out there, but do you still have that kind of belief, or are you like, nah, we are who we thought they were, and this is what I expect this Sunday?
it's not. I mean, 4.5 is basically saying it's more than like Seattle is clearly the favorite. So
Yeah,
if the line is 2.5, 2.5, 3.5, you're like, and that's a pick 'em game. Somebody can win, you know, late with a field goal or something like that. But I mean, coming off of championship weekend, I mean, we can go throughout the whole season. These teams, they won in they won similarly, but Seattle played way better competition.
yeah,
So you can point to some signature wins with Seattle. With New England, you can't point to a lot where you're like, man, they really beat this tough team, this division winner, so forth and so on. So, and then coming off the championship weekend, like they played just extremely well. And then you're looking at how Drake May has played throughout the postseason. You're like, man, you're just not high on the Patriots offense. You know that defense plays great. But at the same time, you got to look at who they faced in the postseason.
yeah,
So it goes both ways. So it doesn't surprise me. It surprises me that it's only 4.5 because of those reasons. Like it's just a full body of work from both teams. Now, just because the Patriots didn't play the teams that Seattle played, they still won those games. So they're still a good team. Their defense is still really good. I'm of the belief that like Seattle should clearly be more of a favorite because of what I've seen from not only Drake May, but from their offensive line. They haven't been able to handle pressure.
yeah,
And they faced two of the best pass rushers in the league. But what do you think Seattle's going to do? Because they bring pressure with just four. McDonald he doesn't even like to blitz as often. Um, Houston, they didn't blitz as often, but they got those two studs on the end. Now they mix and match in the secondary, so it makes it kind of hard for matchups. Um, it's hard for you to create a favorable matchup on offense, and that's what offensive coordinators want to do. They
yeah,
get in 4 wide, 10 personnel. They want to make sure, hey man, somebody in that slot, whether it's a traditional safety, which is usually who's covering the slot, like we have that matchup. So it's hard to do that against Seattle. So if it's hard to do that in the secondary, creating the matchups with the wideouts, now Drake May has to, get to his third, fourth option, and he's just not gonna have time for that. I don't think you're gonna have time for that. Now, what I would be surprised to see is how well or how early they try to establish the run. Now, if they can run the ball, defensive coordinators have to adjust. You got to bring that guy in the box. You got to do different things. You may have to blitz more if you can't stop the run. Now that gets you vulnerable in coverage. Now you have those matchups that you want. I just haven't seen that from New England this postseason to fall back on and say, hey, I know they can do this. And the way Vrabel is played or coached, granted, you coach against an opponent like is week to week. You can't have that same game plan how you had against Denver. You're not
Yeah.
going to win that. Like Darnold's going to pass the ball around. They're going to be able to run the ball effectively, and they're good on special teams. So you're just not going to. You can't be conservative. So all that to say, like I would push more towards 6.5. That would be the sweet spot for me. Even if they won by 10, I'm not surprised. But as far as the line, I was thinking like 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, look, I actually don't I don't disagree with you. I think a few things from a matchup standpoint kind of stand out to me. And for New England, they don't we've said this before kind of all season. Um, there's not really an opponent or a game we can go back to look at and say, hey, this is comparable to what they are going to see this coming Sunday. Even this postseason. Look, I'm not into the whole, oh, they didn't play anybody. I mean, they didn't, but they're here regardless, right? You play who's in front of you. You play who they tell you to play, when they tell you to play them. And, there are no sort of fluke Super Bowl appearances. I don't believe in that. They won 3 playoff games in front of the competition that they had. Bam. I think that might have been the case for anybody in the AFC this year. Because like I said, the legacy guys just weren't there. And so that's the outcome, right? We would have said this probably the same thing about Jacksonville or Denver or Houston if they were here. New England just did a New England thing and they appeared here. I think there are 2 sort of points of contention for me that I wanted to try and draw examples towards, and I couldn't. And it was week 15 and 16 for New England. The loss to Buffalo, where they blew the huge lead. And then the road trip to Baltimore, where the Ravens should have won. We're not going to make this about the Ravens, promise. Super Bowl preview. Where they should have won, right? Because those are the 2.
In my opinion, not just being a Ravens home, but they were about to lose that game.
Oh, for sure, right? If Baltimore would have kept running the football as they should have done, in the same way I think that Buffalo was able to do in that game as well. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is sort of comparable matchup. This should give Seattle some, confidence that they can run the football. And then I remembered Milton Williams didn't play in either of those games. And so they are a completely different defensive unit when they have Milton Williams there. And between he and Christian Barmore, the whole dynamic of that front 7 just changes tremendously. So we don't have, there's not really any point in the season to where I think we can really draw comps. I think perhaps if we have to, maybe the closest one, honestly, is maybe that home game they played against Atlanta way back in early November, where all those guys were healthy and they were able to pull it out there. I think 2 things kind of stick out to me. We said this about Drake May. Look, he can make the throws, he can make the plays. In a lot of ways, he kind of reminds me of Sam Darnold. In that, big arm can make every throw, but has to not make mistakes, and he has not made mistakes this postseason. And that's going to be really the key for them. I think for me, 2 things. One, the running backs are going to matter. We're going to talk about sort of Seattle's offense against the Patriots defense. In this particular case, Will Campbell, first-round pick, left tackle for the Patriots, looked great before he got hurt. And ever since he's come back, he's looked terrible. And I don't even, that's
elite guys, but
oh yeah. Yeah. And right, like you might say, yeah, he went up against Nick Bonito and Will Anderson. And yeah, no, he's been bad. He's clearly hurt, which is just sort of the name of the game. Now he's 2 weeks healthier, right? So maybe he reverts back to himself. I have no faith that New England can block Seattle's front because they haven't been able to block anybody this postseason. So we should not expect that will change in this game. That being said, I also don't expect New England to be able to run against Seattle's front at a successful clip that gets them in 2nd and 3rd and shorts as they want to. And so I think for them, the key is going to be avoiding 2nd and 3rd and longs. So if I can get from 1st and 10, honestly, to 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, to 3rd and 3, well, then they're getting a little bit more of an opportunity there. The problem with that is I don't see them being able to have early down success without getting the ball into Travion Henderson's hands. I don't know if this is a game where you can play Travion Henderson that much. much of the discourse around their backs, Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, early in the season, especially even into the middle part of the season, there's a lot of conversation about why is Mike Vrabel not giving Henderson more of the ball and more touches? Explosive player, speed, can break tackles. He was the worst pass blocking running back in the league this year, by far.
Can't get on the field.
And so this strikes me as a game that Vrabel knows and might have already had the conversation with him. Like, hey, you're not going to see the field that much this week because we can't take the chance when you've got a defense that is this elite, that swarms this well, that tackles this well in space, and that's able to get pressure with 4. Your guy in the backfield has to be a target that they have to account for. And Stevenson is not a slouch runner. Please don't get me wrong, but he's not the same explosive threat that Travion is, right? And I think we almost think of explosive plays as like 20 plays or more. But in a game like this, against a defensive front as good as Seattle's and an offensive line that has struggled as much as New England, to me, an explosive play is Travion taking the running that should be -3 and managing to get a gain of 3 or 4, right? Like those are the plays we don't, people don't jump up out of their chair for. But you do that 3 or 4 times, and it changes the complexion of a game. There is a tremendous difference. You're a coach, you know this, between 2nd and 6 and 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 12 and 2nd and 13, right? When New England finds themselves in 2nd and 12s and 3rd and 11s, that drive is over. I think Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels know it, and they are going to be conservative with it. I'm going to be interested to see what is the approach for them early on? Is it handing the ball off, trying to get more counters outside the hash? Is it, Drake May stepping back 1-2? Okay, let me get the ball out to Diggs. I expect Diggs to have a pretty big day, not necessarily because he's making big plays, but because they're going to need him to have 10 catches for 62 yards, right? Just to be able to move the chains.
And he makes, he'll have a catch or two where you're like, man, that's why you're a former, Pro Bowler. And I remember that first Bills game early in the year. I'm like, man, he hasn't lost a step at all. Now, if they can block the front, he can definitely have a big day. But I think, they might force it to him where, not force in a bad way. It's just, hey, I'm going to get my guy going early so he's involved in the game. So I think the key, the highlights on matchups, just the Seattle defense against the Patriots offense and the Patriots defense against the Seattle offense. If you're talking about a top 5 scoring defense going against Drake May, who has struggled this entire postseason, in your mind, you're like, man, you just assume that they're going to struggle. And it's not all on Drake May. Like I said earlier, the coaching staff, they're like, you know what, this is the game plan. We just don't have to lose this game.
Yeah.
Like they were confident enough that, other team wasn't going to beat them. So their game plan was very conservative. Although that happened, it's still like I just never felt like they got into a rhythm. So I was looking at some stats earlier. I think he's rushed for over 50 yards every postseason game, but it's not by choice.
Yeah.
It's not by choice. So for your prize picks, people, if the over under is like 30 yards for Drake May rushing, I would take the over.
You better take it.
I would take the over. So because he might be running for his life. Seattle defensive line is bullies. They were 4th in pressure rate, and they're one of the lowest blitz. They have one of the lowest blitzing rates.
Yeah.
So top 5 in pressures, but they only send 4. That's impressive.
Yeah,
so
man.
When you can just, have that many guys in coverage, and you're at least going to affect the quarterback. It's not all about sacks. Can you be in his face? Can you affect him? All right, that's what Houston did. They affected him every time, and now he's looking, sideways. Next thing you know, Will Anderson has him on the ground. So, the stunts that McDonald, plays with, think he's going to give those guys trouble on the offensive line.
Yeah, that's my biggest worry with them, man. It's just the aspect of like you said it. I don't think he's gonna have time to get to third or fourth reads, let alone seconds. Now I do think there's an element of like Josh McDaniels, he watched the same tape we do, obviously much closer and longer. The what is going to be critical for both of these teams, and I guess maybe we can transition into the opposite sides of the ball, is, Super Bowls always, the first half of the first quarter of Super Bowls are always honestly terrible football. Because you can
each
tell
other out.
you can tell nerves are finally settling out. This is the biggest stage of these guys' careers, players, coaches, whatever. Like you can tell people are just like out of their bodies and filling in. I think the biggest thing, sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. I don't know if you've seen it much lately, is in a game that's sort of, where the matchups along the trenches are so, imbalanced. Avoiding turnover, avoiding a mistake early on is going to be critical. Those are really hard to overcome in games like this. Like New England can't fall behind, right? Like they are not equipped against this team to fall behind by 7 or 10 points.
And what I was going to say is, you spoke about first quarter always is always terrible. In my mind, if I'm Seattle, Clint Kubiak, like you like to scheme up, you like to draw up. And typically on offensive drives, the first drive, everything is scripted. Like you kind of study so much, you kind of know what these teams are going to be in. So the offense knows, quarterback knows, hey, this is my read. I know a play is coming up. I got a whole 10-play drive if I need it to work with. Like New England can't afford. Okay, you win the toss, you defer. Clint Kubiak draws it up. Sam Darnold dials it up. All right, we're up 7-0. All right, Drake May. All right, I'm going in. I'm going in with my vanilla game plan. I'm gonna run the ball on first down, maybe play action on second and third. Now I got to punt it 3 and out. They get the ball back. Now with a chance to go up 10 zip, 14 zip.
That
If
could
it
be the
gets to
game.
14 zip, I don't know. Like it might be game.
Yeah.
It might be game. Who did it wouldn't surprise if that specific scenario happens.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me if it became the San Fran Seattle game early in the postseason.
Yeah.
They couldn't recover because it was like that.
Immediately. We are not equipped.
Immediately. And that offense is just not built like that. Like then those guys aren't going to quit, but you're out of your game plan completely.
Yeah.
So they have to get a stop early.
Yeah, I mean, I think we often talk about the Super Bowl coin toss in terms of, betting, but I don't want to overstate the importance of a coin toss, right? But like, I have to imagine Clint has something dialed up and he's seen something in tape to where, like, I'll put it to you this way. I think if they win the toss, Seattle might be inclined to take the ball.
Yeah.
Hey, we've seen something. We got the first 24 plays here scripted. I can get us 10 points out of the first 3 possessions and put us in a really good position to win this, right? Whereas I think New England, if they win the toss, is like defer, and we're going to trust this defense a little bit here, knowing that they can't fall behind. But if they can steal possessions, which Mike Vrabel, great coach, great time management, that is sort of, I think, his approach, right? Like we're gonna defer, give Seattle the ball, we'll be able to stop them. We are great in the last 2 minutes. We'll steal a possession at the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third, and sort of give ourselves a 3 or 6 point flip there. So I think that's important to look out too. The other thing is for me with New England, I just don't know where big plays come from. And people are like, well, what do you mean? They have 2 great receivers.
We were talking about, like you said, explosive plays, 20-yard plays.
Yeah.
Like Diggs is an explosive player. He will make big catches. But I'm talking about, all right, I'm going to take this hitch, 30 yards.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this slant. I'm not going to just get the first down. I'm going to make somebody miss and give me 15 more yards.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from. Whereas Sam Darnold and an offense, they live off big plays.
They live off of. The NFC title game was an exhibition. Goodness, Fred. in big plays. Now, some people might look at that and be like, oh, we can just emulate what the Rams did. I'm going to put it into that now. All right. New England does not have a receiver who blocks like Puka Nacua. They do not have a receiver who gets yards after the catch like Puka Nacua. New England does not have the offensive line that the Rams have. There is not a blueprint. Right. Like there is not a world in which the Patriots can look at what the Rams were able to do and sort of mimic that. Now, I think the one thing that gives me a little bit of, I guess, probable hope for New England, for lack of a better term, right? Like them being able to score some points and be successful isn't the biggest thing out of left field, is that they do have two big weapons that are sort of, primed to do certain things in big spots, which is Diggs, when you're able to get into your third and shorts, third and manageable passing situations, and you can find him. They do have that option. And then they also have Keyshawn Boutte, who, if you can somehow, right, get a chance to have 4 or 5 big play action attempts downfield, you like his chances to come up with one of those. Now, somehow is a tall order here against this Seattle front with New England's offensive line. And so I know I'm like juggling here because it's like the chicken and the egg, because I think the guy who can help create those big play action plays is the guy you're not going to be able to play that often, which is in Travion Henderson, for them to be able to respect the run. Now, if I'm Seattle, every time I see Henderson on the field, run blitz, right? Like, front blitz, because you can try to check out of it, right? And New England might be like, okay, cool, we'll check out of it. We're going deep. I do not have faith Drake will have time that enables him to find the receiver downfield, right? And so the only reason I think this is even something that is worth not considering it too lopsided is I have this much faith in Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels from a schematic standpoint.
I do too. And I mentioned like getting up 10-0, 14-0. I think that's a possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I just think those guys are coached too well on defense. And, you got Christian Gonzalez, very, very good corner. I don't know if he'll follow JSN, but when he's matched up against him, if he does follow him, that's gonna be a tough matchup. Because they like to move JSN a lot, led the league in receiving yards, but Gonzalez is pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Now, my thing is, as confident as I am, I'm almost as confident about Seattle being able to rush the passer, get to Drake May, at least affect him. I'm also confident in Mike Vrabel, his staff, stopping the run. So,
yeah,
if both of those things happen, we're not going to get the blowout that we're expecting. Because Seattle, they want to run the ball still. They don't want to become straight drop back. And if it becomes a drop back game, then now you're just too predictable. And now you're stopping the clock. And now, like, when New England gets the ball, we can run the ball because we know we're stopping their run. Mm-hmm. So the game becomes shorter. So all they want to do is play field position. Sam Darnold, that offense, they probably going to, try to get some chunk plays. Like I said, they're going to always try to run the ball. But New England, they want to keep it close for as long as they can and then play their game.
Yeah, for as much as I don't like New England's offense against Seattle's defense, I am not equally, but almost similar in the same vein with Seattle's offense against New England's defense with Milton Williams in there. We mentioned this before. Without him, this defense is a sham. With him, that's one of the best free agent signings in, recent memory. Him and Christian Barmore are just straight terrors. And, I watched Anthony Bradford at right guard give up, 7, 8, 9 pressures against the Rams in the NFC title game. He's not very good. Gray Zabel, not as bad, but never been a huge fan of Abraham Lucas. He's had a better year this year, obviously. Seattle's offensive line is not terrible, but they're not great, and they do leave something to be desired there, especially in the interior. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing I'm looking at earlier is how much pressure is there coming from that left side or coming from up the middle, and how does Clint Kubiak and Seattle and Sam Darnold kind of adjust to it? So I think that's one. Two, you mentioned this, and just to draw it out a little bit more, I'm very, very, very interested to see, and I hope Chris Collinsworth highlights it throughout the night. Where is Gonzo? Is he lining up with JSN, and is it just straight? All right, you shadow him, and we're going to play the rest of this game. Or is it, all right, we're going to double Smith and Jigba because it's not reasonable to expect one guy to be able to cover him, and then we'll just wholly take away Shaheed or Cooper Kupp, right? It kind of depends on sort of what their sort of coaching philosophy is there. The last point is I think this is the game where they really finally miss Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker and his explosiveness is great. Kenneth Walker makes a lot of big plays. Kenneth Walker is also going to put you behind the sticks. Yep. He's going to give you a 30, 40-yard run, 22 yards, 19 yards here and there, and he's going to give you a 2nd and 14 and 3rd and 12 a couple times as well. And that is exactly kind of where New England wants it as well. I think the biggest, most understated player on offense for Seattle is going to be A.J. Barner. Depending upon what New England ends up doing with JSN, he's going to make plays. He's that kind of player. Everybody knows it. You want to prevent the explosive plays that are backbreaking, and I feel like Vrabel has a plan for that as well. But when they're able to get into 3rd and manageables, 3rd and 5, 2nd and 4, 3, whatever, I think Kubiak is going to see an opportunity to sort of spread the ball out to Barner, who I think is probably a little underrated and has all the tools to be an exceptional tight end. Is he able to find open space? Because I know they also use JSN a lot as a decoy. This is definitely one of those games to where you can scheme a lot of the defensive response to Smith and Jigba and see what you can create with your understated guys like Kupp and or Shaheed and Barner. I don't see Drake May having a whole lot of time to get the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th options. I don't know if Sam Darnold is going to have a whole lot of time to get the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th options either. All right. And so that's where the conundrum comes into play here. This is going to be a chess match, man.
Yeah, I just think Darnold just has better weapons. And from what I've seen all year, they're schemed up better. Like you're putting JSN at running back. I don't know why you're not covering that guy whenever he's not in position. I don't know.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks of footage, man. 2 weeks of footage. The part about yes, Vrabel and that style has 2 weeks of footage on Seattle, but also Clint Kubiak is dialing it up too. Like he's cooking in the lab. He's like, I see this and this. I'm gonna get my guy open. So, it's just a matter of which quarterback has the most time. And this is cliche because this is literally every game. What quarterback has the most time? What team can run the ball better?
Yeah.
Like it comes down to that. And I have faith that Seattle can do that a little bit better than New England.
I'm gonna throw an understated thing out here. I'm looking at this. You just mentioned it. First quarters of Super Bowls. I don't remember the last entertaining first quarter of a Super Bowl. They are always bad for all the reasons we mentioned. However, I want to see if Clint Kubiak tries to get cute. Because I can imagine, one, he's about to be the head coach of the Raiders. Not just from a sort of, I'm an offensive whiz kid perspective, but also knowing sort of what you are facing in a defensive front. Do they make the calculation that it's worth it for us in this pregame script based off some of the deficiencies we've seen in this New England defense and studying tape before they can adjust, before they get settled? Does it make sense for us to take some shots downfield? Does it make sense for us to be able to really get some things going? Does it make sense for us to sort of spread it out, on first down, throw the football, drop Sam Darnold back and have that kind of approach? If it does, that's fine. Does that also put Darnold in a position to put the ball in New England's hands?
Yeah, again, Getting too pass happy. That's what I'm saying.
And so I think that is the one thing I'm looking for in the first quarter is, are they both going to be in a position like, all right, this is just a heavyweight fight. We got to let the nerves settle and see where it is. And you could say the same for New England, right? They know they're outmatched in the trenches, but they also got a guy on the outside who can make a big play, right? They've trusted Drake May not to make huge mistakes. He threw that pick against Houston, and that was about it. Do you come out early on the first 15, 20 plays of your script and say, all right, we're going to try to get booty. We're going to bring Henderson out here to maybe try to break some explosive plays. And do you make mistakes, trying to do that as well? This is a much better game than I thought it was when it first got determined. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, but we're thinking about the coaching aspect. So
Yeah,
really like, Seattle is the better team on paper.
yeah.
But now you dive into, all right, coaching matchups and just different player matchups and offense, defense, and things like that, unit matchups. You're like, man, this might not be a blowout.
Nah, man.
Yeah, over under 45.
45 and a half, the over under.
My score is 44.
Yeah.
24-20.
Ah,
I'm going 24-20.
Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going Seattle.
Yeah. No, I'm not too far off. I got 27, Seattle 27, New England 20. I think this is you and I are going to love this game.
Yeah.
You and I are going to love this
A
game.
lot of people are going to be like, man, this is boring.
A lot of people are going to hate
Yeah.
this football game, especially for the first, I'm going to say 3.5 quarters. All right. This is going to be, it strikes me as a 10-7, 13-9 heading into the fourth quarter, right? Like, Seattle 13, New England 10. And then, like we see in a lot of close Super Bowls, it's like, all right, you got to dial it up. And then it kind of opens up a bit. I like Seattle 27-20. I think this game might legitimately be 6-3 at halftime, which is totally fine. It's going to actually reminds me of the 2019 Super Bowl, the last time the Patriots were here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the Patriots and Rams. Now that was actually a horrible Super Bowl. I'm not gonna lie.
That was terrible. It was bad football.
That was
bad. Yeah, that was bad.
That was just bad football. This is gonna strike me as one where it's not necessarily how bad the offenses are, but how good the defenses and the coaching to go with them are. And so I don't see now. One thing I don't see a blowout happening here.
No.
Two really well coached teams. But I think Seattle gets their second Lombardi.
Yeah.
Who you got winning? Who you got winning? Run the football, right?
I watched that the replay on NFL Network the other day, and I'm like, bro, Seattle was dominating, and they put an undrafted free agent, Malcolm Butler, in, and he started tearing it up. And even with all of that, run the ball. Russell
Still
Wilson, a surefire Hall of Famer if they do that.
Crazy, right? It's crazy. What another Super Bowl does for you.
Yep.
1 yard away.
1 yard away.
This is why football mimics life, man. The inches we need are everywhere. I got
Darnold. Yeah, I think if they win, and I forget that it was the Darnold, Allen, Lamar, Rosen. They were on their draft.
Yeah, they were in the same class.
They were in the same draft. Because, for one, Lamar was the forgotten one until he wasn't. Josh Allen was the project. Darnold was supposed to be. Really, it was Rosen before we even talked about Darnold.
Right.
And then he just. But yeah, that's crazy. But I got Darnold, man. I like his story. He got out of the Jet situation, which more power to that brother. You go to the New York Jets to die. Yeah.
I agree. This would be. I'll make another video saying I was wrong about Sam Darnold. When they win and he wins Super Bowl MVP, at least in my predictions. I will say this. I think the person that should win MVP, I think AJ Barner's going to have a big game.
Yeah.
I think Clint got some things dialed up, but if AJ Barner has the game I think he's going to have, then that means Sam Darnold is going to have the stats that are going to make people want to give it to him, and
Exactly. Yep.
I'm not going to argue with that. All right,
Quarterback thing. It's yeah.
exactly right. Full circle there. I will say this though, Sam Darnold going full circle from getting out of New York to bouncing around some places, and then getting to Seattle and winning the Super Bowl title. How does it feel to be a Jets fan? Like, like I
I know
mean,
it's. I know it has.
it's got to be. They haven't gotten here since 1969. Hmm, that's tough. Although I will say, you know what? Last thing I'll say there though,
Oh,
that's tough, man. Although I did not expect. We'll talk about this next week because we don't have time to get to it this week. But no black coaches hired this NFL coaching cycle. Okay, cool. Not that surprised. I did not expect the guy who's hired the most black coaches to be Woody Johnson.
it's crazy.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
you can say what you want about him. There's a whole lot to say about him, y'all. He is a Trumper. And some of y'all might be too. It's cool. We welcome you here. I forgot feelings about that. That's on politics as usual. But like Herm Edwards, right? Aaron Glenn not getting fired after this year.
Right.
Like, all right, did not expect the MAGA influencer to be the guy that hires black guys. Anyway, that's it. That's Super Bowl predictions. We both got Seattle. It's gonna be a close game though.
Yep.
Lock in. If you love football, you love the chess match, you are going to love this game. Lock in, put the kids to bed early, put a little whiskey in the bottle so that you can enjoy it. All right, but you didn't hear that from me.
Morning.
Huh?
I got to get a workout in that morning.
Yeah, man, you ain't got time for that in the evening. But anyway, that's our Super Bowl preview. A lot of good stuff to look forward to. A lot of matchups. Before we move on to our next segment, hey, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, it's okay. Take a nice little pause, real quick, 10 seconds. All right, click subscribe. Bam, like the video. Okay, matter of fact, next after you do those two things, click share. Whatever social media you find yourself on, share it there. Give us a little shout out. If you don't do that, you know exactly who you are. Plus, it's Black History Month. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? All right, there it is. Hey, moving over a little bit to we're gonna do this each week for the foreseeable future. There are 10 new head coaches in the National Football League, or 10 teams who changed head coaches, rather, not 10 new head coaches. The New York Giants are one of them. We talked about all these in passing in the last couple episodes. We're doing a little bit more of a deep dive into each of these hires. And this week, it's the good old New York Football Giants, who hired John Harbaugh as their head coach. And then recently this week brought on Matt Nagy to be their offensive coordinator. We're not necessarily going to do a huge sort of in-depth sort of, preview or anything like that. That's more so for the off season. Just trying to get a sense of, how we think these new coaches fit into their environments, what we can expect from them, and how we think their tenures are going to play out. We've talked about this before. We've hinted at it. I'm going to expand on it a little bit here. I think this is a terrible move. I think the Giants are in for a world of hurt over these next few years. Number one, I don't know if Jackson Dart is the answer at quarterback in the way that everyone just presumes to think that he is. I think an injury-filled rookie season should give you more pause than people seem to have about him, and not just his ability to stay healthy, but also his ability to just be able to sort of walk through reads and so on and so forth. Now, granted, we did not get a chance to see him with his biggest playmaker, and that's Malik Neighbors, and they're going to pick pretty high. So there's some caveats there that we'll get into a little bit later down the road with roster construction. I do not like Matt Nagy being in charge of this young man's quarterback development. If you think I'm wrong, please feel free to tell me, right? But we got Harbaugh, who doesn't have a clear football philosophy. We have Matt Nagy, who I don't think has a clear offensive philosophy either, right? In terms of how he likes to run offense, how he likes to set up plays. This, to me, this seems like and I'll add this too, because I think you have to have this conversation. We're talking about John Harbaugh. When I look at the Giants staff, And I draw that in opposite comparison to what I've seen the Ravens staff be able to assemble in this short amount of time. I'm not turning this into a Ravens pod, but I am saying there are clearly a lot of bright young minds in the NFL who saw an opportunity to join Baltimore as a clear opportunity they could not pass up. In a way that I see Harbaugh creating a coaching staff and a front office that is full of retreads and guys who don't have a clear sort of football philosophy. I am worried about the New York Football Giants.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. So Harbaugh just inherited culture. Like, it's not like he created a culture. And I'm not going to disrespect him and say he just rode the waves. But when you don't when you're not the reason that that culture was established, like we can even go to Tomlin. Like, it's no disrespect to any of them. It's just like you're not the reason why that organization is a great organization. So when you're talking about that in particular, you got to be careful on saying, all right, he did this here for so long, he's going to be good here.
Yeah.
Both New York teams suck. I say both, right? I forget the one in upstate. I don't even know. Like, they're bad organizations.
They are terrible.
If we want to keep it a buck, like most of New York sports, it's trash.
The Knicks balling, man.
We just talk about it because it's New York. Like, the Knicks are good now, and I'm not gonna go down the list, but football is just bad. And if Eli Manning doesn't luck up, 2 playoff runs, but that's another story.
Not a Hall of Famer.
You have a second-year quarterback. You have a stud at wideout. Now, we just don't know about. We know about the stud at wideout. He's injured. He'll come back. I'm not worried about that. We don't know what we have at quarterback. You still don't know. And to put all that belief in a guy who had a top guy at his position and he played very well, some things his fault, some things not his fault, but to put that much stock in a guy it's just I don't think that New York Giant fans are getting who they think they're getting. Like, it's, for one, you're in a division where the Eagles have dominated. Now, they've taken a step back, but they're clearly the best team. Without Jaden Daniels being hurt all season long, who knows what that team would have looked like.
Yeah, they'll be back next year.
Yeah, so that's a fluke. New York is New York. But you just kind of, in the back of your mind, you just got to wonder, okay, why weren't you able to get over the hump with this talented team? Like, 2023, you should have been in there. 2024, you should have been in there. 2025, this year, could have snuck in there. I know the kicker or whatever, but throughout the season, there were some questionable things like backup quarterback. Snoop should have been a backup quarterback the entire time. You probably win two of those games that you lost when Lamar was out. The big lead blown against Buffalo. Other leads blown throughout his tenure. If you look it up, like I say, he's not the sole reason why they blow a lead. But if you're the leader of this organization, this team, then it falls on you. So that Ravens team, since he's been the coach, has blown the most double-digit leads during that span. So as a coach, I don't know what that means. I don't know, like, hey, I built this lead. Why can't I keep it? Is it me? Is it like, I don't know what that means, but the stat is the stat. So I just don't see them going and winning. Now, I will say, would it surprise me if that year one they win 10, 11 games? No, but that's year one. I can see them winning, sneaking into the postseason, and it's just reverting back to who they really are. But I just don't see long-term success. And what I mean by success is all right, I'm always in contention of winning the division, and I'm
Mhm.
always in playoff contention. So obviously, if you win a division, you're gonna go to the postseason. But I don't see it.
I don't see it either. I mean, look, my feelings about Matt Nagy are well known. I don't know if he knows where the bodies are. I don't know if he knows who's sleeping with who in NFL circles. I don't know if he knows the secret to where Jimmy Hoffa is, but he knows something to be able to keep getting these jobs. And I watched that Kansas
I
City
admit
offense,
that.
and like I watched that Kansas City offense the last few years. It was terrible. It's got to be somebody's fault, and it wasn't 15s. And you're not about to sit here and tell me it only got to do with the weapons he got outside, because 15 can throw the garbage guys and make it look good. Something was
Bro,
wrong in
and
that building.
even like the innovation literally changed.
Yes,
It was just like, you know what? Maybe I need to get away from Kansas City so I can have an opportunity to get a head coaching job. It didn't work out. He came back. But past few years, like it's just been, hey, let me get these gadget guys, screen, let me make a scramble play. I always keep one burner. And I had Travis Kelce, who, for some reason, we leave him open on 3rd and
all the
10.
time. Yep.
Will he retire? I don't know. If he does it, he's just a shell of himself now.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to revamp the offense. They're going to have to actually run the football. I'm talking about Kansas City. But, like, you're taking that guy, you're putting him in the offense where you have a second-year quarterback. Might as well say he's a rookie quarterback because he didn't play 17 games. So you have a rookie quarterback. You have a coordinator. You have one weapon on the outside. You have a coordinator who hasn't been innovative. And you have a coach who is like, oh, I'm just going to sit on the sideline and make crazy faces when things go wrong. So I don't know.
You know, and I think, yeah, man, Matt Nagy is OC. Willie Taggart as running backs coach, whose career has just fallen off a cliff
He was with the
um,
Ravens.
since
Well, listen, has it fallen off a cliff? He's a running backs coach. How hard is this job?
hey, that's real. He getting paid millions to chill. He went
Play.
he went and did them big boy college football coaching jobs and was like, I do not want this. That man went to Oregon and Florida State and said, I don't want to work this hard. I'm out. I
Oh,
respect it, brother. I never got my 40 acres. Get yours.
and you still paying me $30 million. I respect it.
I ain't mad at it, right? Um, my biggest gripe with Harbaugh's hire, I did not understand Denard Wilson as defensive coordinator. I know Tennessee is void of talent, so it is really hard for you to get a sense of sort of what he was working with and what he did well and whether or not he was utilizing talent, calling plays well, so on and so forth in Tennessee, because it's just not a good roster. But is that the best he could do in terms of defensive coordinator? As someone who's been a head coach as long as he has, right? Like the hires he's made, I don't know if you've seen, these are laughing. These are laughing matters. The coaching staff he is assembling, at least amongst, not just, this isn't just Twitter and Reddit users. I mean, amongst sort of, NFL people speaking anonymously or whatnot. Now, look, I don't know if that's the case, right? Like Wilson was a defensive coordinator at the NFL level before. So there's no reason to think he's not a quality DC. One. Two, the one, I will give Harbaugh a lot of things. He's won a Super Bowl. So that's number one.
Yeah.
Two is the willingness to give, what'd you say?
I was about to say what you about to say. He gives guys a chance.
He gives brothers a chance.
Yes.
So
Specifically, that's what
hey, I cannot and would never take that away from John Harbaugh. Zach Orr was a terrible defensive coordinator, but I also appreciate the fact that he gave him and a whole lot of other guys opportunities. That's always going to be Harbaugh, and that is not something that is like a nice, little pat on the head thing. No, that is essential, that matters, that changes the trajectory of so many lives and coaches who aren't even coaching yet down the road. So that matters, and I love Harbaugh for that. But is this the all-around best staff you could have put together after the years you just spent in Baltimore? I agree with you, right? They have a grown man in the building now. They're going to have organization. There's going to be a level of expectation. They're going to be sort of baseline coached. They're not going to be well coached, but they're not going to be terrible either. That could get you 10-7 in year one. I don't know how long that sustains. And Buddy ain't young. He's 62 years old. Um, so,
I'm for just, New York taxes ain't cheap.
whew.
And it's cold. I mean, free agents kind of going to New York.
Yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie though. Hey, if you told me as my last little hurrah after I already made generational money that I
Well,
could
that's
be
different.
62
Yeah, we
years
talking
old,
about, yeah.
make $20 million a year, and live in New York City,
Yeah,
sign me
I'm doing
up.
that. You
You
bring
know,
home 10, but it's all
you are bringing
good.
home 10 because there's Sam taking half of that, New York City estate taking half of it. But anyway,
But
uh, man, that's the New York Giants, man. We're gonna dive more into them in the offseason in terms of sort of roster and whatnot, and what we think Jackson Dart needs to focus on, and what we need to see them do to get better this year. I just I know they wanted to move a sort of expediency in their hire, and look, for them, it makes sense to go out there and get somebody who knows what they're doing, who's been doing this for a while, and stability. They're not looking to get over the hump in ways that a Buffalo and a Baltimore are. So in some ways, I get it. I just don't think. Look, I'll put it to you this way: I think this has a chance to stain Harbaugh's legacy long term. And that might not even necessarily be an indictment of him. It might be more of an indictment on the ability, I think, that their GM, Joe, I forget how to pronounce his last name right now, on his ability to continue to build out a roster that is cohesive and that is talented. He looks, for all intents and purposes, has hit on Malik Neighbors. I don't think it's hard to hit on Malik Neighbors, though, so I'm not really giving you that much credit there. You're going to hit more on an LSU top 15 receiver than you are, going to miss. Um, Dart completed about 67% of his passes, still yet to be seen. The last thing I want to say is what I truly hope doesn't happen is I don't want to see Malik Neighbors catch 12 passes a game and 7
yeah,
of them be screens.
yeah. Yeah. I don't want to see that.
But that's
I
probably
think
what we're going to see.
I think best case scenario, you're like, okay, they're right at that 9-10 spot, the wins every year. That's best case scenario. And I don't think that stains his legacy just because how bad the Giants have been.
That's real.
9 or 10 wins based off of the recent history of New York Giants football, that's bringing stability in that
Take it.
organization.
Right? Yeah.
They'll take it. Now, if it's, I think, worst case scenario, you're right where you are. You're 6-11, 7-10, right there to possibly getting over the hump to win 10 games, but also not bad enough to be picking at the top of the draft. So I
Yeah.
don't think it's in the middle. I think it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you. We're going to see. We're going to see. This would be interesting to juxtapose with, say, the guy who we'll talk about a little bit more next week is Buffalo and Joe Brady. But we'll save that for next week's episode. I'm excited about this offseason, man. There's so much to dive
Yeah.
into football-wise.
I'm glad we get to like one new coaching hire a week. We can,
Yeah, man. We get to draw it out a little bit more. That's
Cardinals.
what the Cardinals trying, man. Come on, that's like my third team, man. They gonna figure it out. They gonna figure it out. I used to live in Phoenix, for y'all who don't know, by the way. All right. It's my third team. I root for their sorry selves. All right, man. Shifting a little bit over into college football. This exercise of these way too early top 25s is always fun because we always talk bad about them and we always, curse the author or whoever came up with them. But they are the most sort of clicked, liked, commented on articles about college football there is, period. Like for the whole year, the most engaged article that Bruce Feldman and Stu Mandel write are their way too early top 25s. So we all say we hate it, and yet we engage with it. All right. And so we got our own little exercise here. Now we only doing top 10 because we ain't got time for all that. I will write a sort of a complete top 25, and you can find it on the All 22 Substack here in the next week or so. But today we're just going to do a top 10. What's the better way to start, from the top or from the 10? What you think?
I mean, if you like suspense, then, start from the bottom.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know, because
let's start from the top.
I like the top.
I
like the top to get it out the way.
Yeah. Start from the top. I think I did
But
not
now you
hide
want
the
you
ball
want
on
to
this.
give yours, I give mine, or you want to go top 5 or
Yeah. I'm gonna do my top 10, give a real brief synopsis, and then you can do your top 10, and we can just sort of hang off teams here if that makes sense. We don't tell each other these in advance because we don't want no group think out here. All right. We're really trying to,
no,
have a little
we know you're a one
you
because
know
you've
my
been
one.
saying
I
that's it.
spoiled the number one. I spoiled the number one, and that's Notre Dame. I'm really high on the Irish going into this season. I love CJ Carr. Honestly, Miami got to the national title game, gave Indiana a run for their money. I said it, sort of going into the playoff. Notre Dame was one of the few teams I thought who was actually playing for a national title. They were that good. They were that talented. They just played their two best opponents early, lost to them, I think, again by a combined 4 points. A lot of guys leaving, but a lot of guys coming back. Some great transfer additions. We'll get into more of that a little bit later. Notre Dame is number one. That's my early favorite to win a national title. Number two, I got the lunatic Dan Lanning in Oregon. Um,
Lunatic.
really, really terrible endings to the last couple seasons, but they got a juggernaut up there. They've lost those games in pretty convincing fashion to the eventual national champion. They are going to break through. Dan Lanning is comfortable there. He's going to be there for 30 years. He's going to win a national title. It's just a matter of when at this point. Although I will say, I'm going to give him like 2 or 3 more years, and then that can't win the big one thing is going to start becoming it's going to start becoming a thing. But
Like
number 2, Oregon.
yeah, I say 2.
It's time.
It's
It's
time, bro.
it's time, Dan.
Time to at least get to it.
It's time to get to the national title game at least. He's got to get that. All right, number 3, Ohio State. Like Julian saying, coming back. Chris Henry Jr. is going to be a beast. They're going to have weapons all the time. And Jeremiah Smith is going to like what? He'd probably be the first receiver taken if he was eligible. Cardinal Tate might end up being a top 6 pick, but anyway. Ohio State 3, Indiana 4. This is purely based on Kurt Signetti. Purely based. They lose so much.
That's it.
Mendoza's gone. Hans is gone.
This is my hardest one.
Yeah, but this is one of those things where benefit of the doubt, they just went 16-0, did the impossible. I'm just gonna sit here and assume this man got the secret sauce that nobody else has, and they're gonna retool. It's the only reason they're in the top 10, and I'm okay with that. They've earned that. I'm gonna reel off these next 3. 5, 6, 7, Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma. We'll talk more about Texas and Georgia, I'm sure. I think I might have been a year early on Oklahoma. I was very high on them coming into the season, and they proved me right in that assertion until Mateer broke his hand. Another year with Ben Arbuckle, another year with him healthy is good for them. My bottom 3 of the top 10, I'm throwing some darts here. Number 8, I got Georgia Tech. I know a lot of people are like, what? What are you talking about? Well, I've seen that schedule. Number 1. Number 2, I don't think the younger Mendoza is his brother, but I do think there's something to be said about being able to sit for a year in that system, learn from his older brother. He's transferring into Georgia Tech. They were able to compile some playmakers down there. I know Haynes King is leaving, but Brent Key has this team with the philosophy. They brought in some transfers. I like Georgia Tech, and that schedule is not that difficult. At number 9, I got Texas Tech. And then at number 10, which it's crazy what can happen if you just, fall bass backwards into a great hire. I got Penn State.
Penn State? Top 10. All right.
I got Penn State's top 10. I think that is more of a belief in Matt Campbell. He's bringing over a lot from Iowa State, but I thought Iowa State was going to be a playoff team, and they were in a position to do that before their whole secondary just got obliterated. Rocco Beck got hurt, so he's bringing in a lot of guys from over there. The biggest thing for me, if I remember this correctly, Penn State does not play Indiana, Oregon, or Ohio State. So it is not just Matt Campbell. A lot of that is him, but also, again, no Indiana, no Oregon, no Ohio State for them. I got Penn State number 10.
Mine looks not completely different, but I got some, and then trust me, this isn't like fandom. It isn't like, I want this to be how it is. I'm just like, you know what? I'm looking at outlook. Looking at what happened this past season, who they have returning, and what I expect. I got Texas number 1.
Ah,
I was down on Arch. Like he was playing like trash. What I seen the second half of the season shows me, all right, them genetics kicked in,
Yeah.
and Dale has an incredible play caller as a head coach. They're gonna always have athletes, and I just like what I seen the second half. And the first half of the season, like all the shots that was taken at him, and I took him too. He deserved them, or they deserved it because they built him up as a generational quarterback and Heisman Trophy contender. We just didn't see it. What I
Yeah.
seen the second half is, man, I seen like that. He looked like he belonged, and I was surprised because it was a complete 180, literally. Like this is not just me saying complete 180. He looked like a completely different player.
Oh yeah.
So and see him going into next season, another off season as the starter, and just lighten it up. So I have Texas number one. Wouldn't surprise me if they win the SEC and play for a national title, honestly. Texas number one. I have Oregon number two for the same things you mentioned. Dante Moore, I would have been upset with him from a fan standpoint if he would have went to the draft. He
Yeah.
wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Just wasn't ready, man. And you know, it's cool that you're not ready, but you got to understand, I'm just not ready. I need to come back. Um, it's a talented team. I know they play fast, but what surprised me, not surprised me because Dan Lannon is a head coach, but they've been getting much better in the trenches. It's not just Oregon speed anymore. Now they got boat race by Indiana, but it was Indiana, so can't even be mad at them. Number three, I got probably the most expensive roster in the country. I got Ohio State.
Mm.
I got Ohio State number three. Saying is coming back. He should be better. They need to let him throw it around a little bit more, like
Yeah,
stretch the
man.
field. They were too conservative, man. Like he was very accurate, but wasn't taking a lot of chances. So I'm expecting a leap there. Like all of this is kind of what's coming back in a projection. Um, Number four, that's why I have Notre Dame.
Mm.
And watching that Miami game, I remember watching it. I was hate watching, and I had turned it off like early third quarter because I'm like, you know what? It's Notre Dame. They're selling. Turned it back on. I'm like, oh, this redshirt freshman quarterback is putting in work. Like, and over the season, he just kept getting better, kept getting better. They should have beat Texas A&M. They beat Texas A&M. We're probably not having the Miami discussion.
No.
Because there'll be one win up in the win column. Yes, they lost their head-to-head, but you won
Doesn't
more.
matter. Yeah.
So, yeah, but they should have won that game, been in the postseason, whatever. But CJ Carr played extremely well down the stretch. Um, Four, you don't like these guys, man. I got the Bulldogs still.
Yeah.
I got the Bulldogs. I just trust that machine up there in Athens. I trust what they have going on. Gunner's coming back. He's not gonna. Let me take that back. He did kind of wow me with some moments.
Oh yeah.
That Tennessee throw. I didn't know he can make that throw. That's 4th and 6. Like he had some great games. He was the reason why they won a lot of games. And I can't. They lost a lot of players on defense. They lost Zachariah Branch. They used him too much as a gadget guy. But their running game, I can always rely on a solid front seven. Now, this year it took them too long to shore up that defense. But if they play well down the stretch, they just ran into Trinidad Chambers, and he was just
Couldn't
he
do
was
nothing
just on,
about that, coach.
he was just on a heater. But I believe in that machine in Athens. They're gonna be who they are. They're gonna win 11 games, and they're gonna be in contention they're probably going to be in the SEC title games, is whether they're going to win it and what they're going to do after. That's 4.
That's 5.
Wait, that's 5. That's 5. That's 5. Now I have I'm sorry. Now I have Indiana for the same reasons. For the same reasons. It's all Kirk.
Netty. It's all Kirk.
Like, and name your player coming back. I can't. But what I seen the last 2 years, I just got to put him in there.
That's it.
7, I got Miami.
Oh,
You know, 7, I got. That's why I preface my statement by saying this is not what I want. But I mean, you gotta respect it, man. They're spending money. This is the new college football. They just hopped on board. They don't care about tampering because what you gonna do if the player wants to leave?
he gonna leave.
Gonna leave. Like you're gonna continue fighting this battle. Now you kind of look like a sucker. I'm not gonna lie.
You look like Drake.
Now I will say for Duke, like, hey, cool. You want him? Pay this buyout. Pay that $4 million what I was going to pay him so I can spend money elsewhere. I don't like how he left.
That's the problem.
The only problem. If he would have entered the transfer portal as soon as it opened, cool. But he
Fine.
was just talking about he's excited to come back, excited to do all of this. And then the last few days, you know, you get word that Miami trying to drop $10 million.
Yeah,
Alleged.
man.
I'm leaving too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yes.
But
Yes.
don't act like it wasn't just about the money. Don't give me this statement about bettering my career and things like that because Miami didn't make Carson Beck better. He was Carson Beck. Cameron Ward is going to be Cameron Ward. So we got to just tell us the truth. That's all I ask.
Like the money and run, brother. It's okay.
I got Texas Tech at 8. They got a transfer quarterback from Cincinnati. I expect that defensive philosophy to transfer from year to year. They lost a high draft pick, but they're losing a high draft pick on the D-line. But I just expect them to – the NIL era, man, I just expect them to keep rolling. 9, I got the Aggies, bro.
Okay.
I got the Aggies. I'm a big fan of Mike Elko. I like Texas A&M. Marcel Reed coming back. I feel like he just – another year, he's going to be ready. He wasn't ready for the postseason.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to play Texas in a big-time game. He played extremely well throughout the season, except for those last 2 games. Didn't play extremely well against South Carolina early, but they came back. They came back and won that game. But high on Texas A&M. Last.
There you go.
Well, I'm at 10, right?
Yeah. What? Miami 7, Texas A&M 8.
I got 8. Okay.
Wait, did I miss somebody?
Huh?
I got Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Indiana, Miami. I think I might have missed somebody. But anyway,
Miami.
Texas A&M. You got 2 more.
Okay. This was the hardest one. We get to that 9 to 10 range. Going back and forth, you know, I'm looking at the SEC teams. I'm looking at who coming back and things like that. I wanted to sneak Alabama in there. I don't know what that quarterback like. I can't put him in there. But I got the lane train, bro.
Oh.
I got the lane train. This is only preseason. I'm talking about preseason top 10. Don't know what's gonna happen. It may fall in the dirt. I don't know. But as far as the hype, I got him at 9. Like I said, I don't know how they're gonna do this year, but I feel like they're gonna. They already recruiting well. They have all this ton of money. Lane can coach. Like we don't bash his coaching. We know we're gonna, he's gonna have a good team. He built Ole Miss to where they are.
Yeah.
So make no mistake about that. So now, will he have LSU winning a national title? I don't know. But you telling me he can win 11 games at Ole Miss? You got to win 11 games at LSU. Now, you're facing different competition depending on what their schedule looks like this year. I haven't looked too deep into it.
I got it ready for you, brother. I'm going to let you finish.
Hey, that's what I said. This is preseason, not how they're going to finish. Who do they have?
Oh, man. All right. So LSU, they opened with Clemson, who I think we might have been a year too early on as well. Now, look, I don't think Clemson is a national title contender, and I don't think anybody's putting them in the preseason top 5 like we did last year, but I don't expect Clemson to be as bad next year as they were this year. They open against Clemson, a throwaway against Louisiana Tech, and Ole Miss on the 19th of September.
Wait,
Oh man, how much is a ticket to that game gonna cost? Anyway, we're gonna talk about that one forever. The landmine for me after the emotional wreck that will be at Ole Miss, host Texas A&M.
Okay.
Then there's a stretch in there where they should just run the table. McNeese at Kentucky, Mississippi State, at Auburn. They should breeze through that before they get an open date. And then after that, this is how they end the year: Alabama, Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas.
Mm. Hey, we find out who you are.
You can find out who you are.
Who you are. Yeah, like I said, it's straight preseason. My number 10, Big Ten. Who you think I'm going?
Oh, who else? USC.
Michigan.
Oh, are you like the grown up in the building that much? I
I
like
like the in the building.
I like it.
I hope year 2 they get let Underwood actually play some quarterback. But we know that team is gonna be tough.
Oh yeah.
We know those trenches are gonna be elite. Like, can the quarterback make some throws consistently? That's gonna be the recipe. They sneak up and beat Ohio State next year. I'm not surprised, just because they got a grown man in the building, year 2 of the quarterback. We know he has the talent. And we know that, like I said, the talent's going to be there, top to bottom, and the trenches are going to be set.
Trench
I
is
got
gonna be
Michigan
better.
top 10. So we
Yeah.
got some of the same teams. I think our 5 through 10 is different.
Yeah, I
Well,
have Michigan. I had Michigan, Texas A&M, USC, BYU right outside of my top 10, and Louisville as well. I think the bigger people are like, oh, where does Georgia Tech come from? Some of this for me is also scheduled. I don't think Georgia Tech has one of the top 10 most talented rosters in the nation. Nor do I think that for Penn State either. But Georgia Tech opens with Colorado, which we are going to have a lot of discussion about them in that
No.
circus in the offseason, how that has done a complete 180. If they can get past Tennessee, who they host at home, I don't even think that's at Mercedes-Benz. I think it's at Bobby Dodd. Then Georgia Tech goes Mercer at Stanford, Duke at Tech, BC at Pitt. They host Louisville, which is going to be their toughest game. They
Yep.
go at Clemson, who I think will be better, but still is, they're getting left behind in this new college football world. Wake Forest, and then obviously they close the year at Georgia. So that's a little bit more of my explanation there. And then, yeah, the biggest thing for me in terms of how do you make a schedule and you avoid. All right, so Penn State does get Michigan. They do not have to play Indiana or Ohio State, but they do play Michigan.
Big, bro. They're too big, because how does Texas A&M face every single team in the SEC who were in the bottom half of the SEC? How does that happen? That's the super conferences have to go for that sole reason.
We got to go back
because it's just too many teams. The other teams don't play the best teams. Now, Ohio State should play Michigan. They should play Penn State every year. They probably should play Indiana every year. Those teams should always play. Georgia, my way, they got to play Florida. They got to play Alabama. They got to play Auburn. They got to play Tennessee. Every year. Those, for one, from a fan standpoint, we want to see those games. And then you find out who that team actually is. So it's like, I can't stand it, man.
And it's like, I didn't realize, I mean, we talk about it, but you realize the discrepancy when you try to sit down and do a list like this, because now you have to look at the schedules in order to try and draw that out, because they are so disparate. It's why, it's the reason why I got LSU at 16, not because I don't think they're one of the most talented rosters. They spent a lot of money in that portal, but that schedule was just like lopsided. Whereas if you gave LSU the schedule next year that A&M had this past year, I have LSU at number 1. Right? Yeah. It's the same programs who are going to be sort of the bottom half of the SEC, but you got to play Tennessee, who's always going to be well coached with Josh Heupel. You got Alabama, you got Texas, you can go down the list, so on and so forth. I will say though, and this is one of the things that's interesting to me, and this is why, we can kind of wrap the show on this. This is why, I think they made some more tweaks to the college football playoff. It's like they're just going to keep making tweaks just for the sake of tweaks, At some point, you gotta let it play out for a few years, so you actually have data, so you know how to change it. But overall, like, this is the problem with having a playoff in a sport that was never meant to have a playoff. And what I mean by that is nobody who loves this sport fell in love with it because they were so enamored with figuring out who the national champion was.
No. Every game mattered. Every game used to matter. Like we weren't saying, dang man, aside from a few years, that team definitely deserved a shot. We always knew who 1 and 2 were
That's
for the
it.
most. And it's like, even if, okay, 1 and 2, they didn't play for if these teams didn't play for the national title, that Rose Bowl meant something.
The Rose Bowl is the main.
That Orange Bowl meant something.
That was
Sugar
something.
Bowl, Peach Bowl, bro, that meant something. Right, we're going to make it to a New Year's Six Bowl. And more than likely, the teams that made it to a New Year's Six Bowl, aside from the national champions, had more than one loss.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. It was a big deal. Like you can't tell me, like, and part of that is, we grew up in the South, right? Like, if you a Georgia fan, you work with, your kids go to school with, you work out with people who went to Auburn and Tennessee and Georgia Tech. Like, it's a matter. It don't matter if you 4-6 or 4-7 going to the Tech game. It matters. If you're in State College, you do not care about USC. No. Now, if you lose to USC, there's no you don't have to. Bro, only real college football fans gonna understand this. Like, when your team loses on a Saturday, like, and you pulling up to work before you get out the car, you dread, like,
yeah.
All right, let me go in here and hear this mess. Like,
it doesn't matter anymore.
It don't matter no more.
In hindsight, like, if you're one of those teams who are in contention of making the 12, I get it. You're cool with that. Just a fan of the sport, it takes a little bit away.
Yeah.
Bottom line, takes a little bit away. I'm Georgia. I know for a fact I'm going to be in a 12-team playoff every single year. I ain't Ohio State every single year.
And you automatically got a mulligan now. You can go 11-1.
That's what I'm saying. But now, if you're, let's say, Michigan, I win 10 games every year. I may beat Ohio State, I may not. But I don't have to beat Ohio State now.
You're in.
Or it got some folks fired just because of that game.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I just missed that. Oh, no, it was just some consequences to it. Like, it made the game more important. Like, I have to win this game for my coach to come back next year.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, we lost this game. Oh, let me check my Navy Federal account. Even though I'm not going to the league, let me check I'm good.
No, facts. The biggest example of this is just like, I think this is, what was this, year 2 of Mike Elko down in Texas A&M. And I think Mike Elko is a tremendous coach. I think they are going to be consistently competitive and in the hunt. And I think they hit on their guy who can be there for 15, 20 years, however long he wants to be there. But they haven't played well against Texas.
Nope.
And in the past, I think that would be something to where, yeah, you went 11-1, but you lost to Texas. And I think even for now, look, I'm not, in the trenches on Texas high school football in college, but the only rivalry I know that still stands like that is Ohio State, Michigan. Like, they will get you up out of there. Like, we saw this last, Ryan Day won a national title. And there were still Ohio State boosters, fans, donors, whoever last year, like, yeah, but he didn't beat Michigan. I talked to several Ohio State fans that were like that. Like, that's the only rivalry. I'm like, they really do not care about the national title.
But that's the biggest one in the sport.
Exactly, right? And they don't care about the national title if they don't beat Michigan. Let me be clear. Like, there were plenty of people like, yeah, that was cool, but he lost to Michigan. Got to beat Michigan this year. But we don't have that. Like, they used to matter for Washington and Washington State.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted to watch that on a Friday night, staying up to 1 a.m.
Man, good old Apple Cup until 2 a.m., man.
Like, Florida State, Florida means nothing.
It means nothing. Did you even watch it this year?
I did, just my team, but it was on. I didn't watch it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we gotta wrap it up, man. But that's the problem. It's just like we took a sport that wasn't about crowning a national champion and tried to make it about crowning a national champion. When it's like it's not that kind of sport, and it's sad. And I hate all these people, but it is what it is. Um, hey man, y'all enjoy Super Bowl 60. It's gonna be a great matchup because if you are listening to this right now, it means you are a top 1% football person. We get it. All
Yeah.
right? Like, and so you're gonna enjoy the chess match. All right. Whatever you need, get your popcorn, your wings, your salad. If you're trying to lean out, I'm trying to get ready for summer, whatever it is you get. Hey, if you're gonna eat a salad on Sunday, it better have some bacon bits in it and some blackened chicken
That's
or
it.
something. All right. I'm just saying. Hey, subscribe to the channel, like us on YouTube. We're gonna be back next week. Full Super Bowl recap, some more coaching hires, more college football news. Appreciate y'all joining us.
Peace.
Peace.